Welcome to New Zealand. Yeah, okay, we're not in New Zealand. Not yet, we'll get there. We're in Kirkland Lake, Ontario. And if you're a gold bug, Kirkland Lake is probably a name you're well familiar with. Kirkland Lake sits within the Abitibi Greenstone Belt, which is a large geological formation in northern Ontario and northern Quebec. Also, if you're a gold bug, you probably know that these major geological structures, such as Red Lake in Ontario, large part of Nevada, these are where major gold discoveries are made, or where the longest lasting, highest grade gold mines are found. Kirkland Lake Gold previously owned and operated a mine in Southeast Australia called Fosterville, and that name probably also rings a bell. Fosterville is known as one of the best mines in the world, with the highest grades and the largest reserves. Now that geological formation is still under exploration, and today we're going to meet with another company that's exploring in the same region, hoping to find the next Fosterville. And where they're located might surprise you.
Beneath the very ground we walk on lies an unexplored world, waiting to be uncovered by those daring enough to search. I'm Jonathan Brazo, a mechanical engineer, firefighter, avid world traveler, and rookie junior mining investor. I'll be your guide on this adventure where I'll dig deep, learn the ropes, and take you behind the scenes as we dive into the untold stories of junior mining exploration. Strap on your boots and grab your shovel. It's time to explore. This is EarthLabs Expeditions PreVisit, where our journey around the world begins.
The next major gold discovery that you've never heard of might be in, drum roll please, New Zealand. Bet you didn't see that coming. Today I'm going to be meeting with Rua Gold and learn all about their exploration efforts in New Zealand and how they plan to find the next Fosterville. First up, CEO Rob Eckford.
Rob, I've been following Rua for a little while now, and it's a really compelling story. I wonder, could you tell us more about the company and how you guys got here?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one most important thing for Rua Gold is the jurisdiction. New Zealand, in my view, is the number one jurisdiction worldwide right now. New legislation has passed to fast-track mining permits down to 6 months, and that's leading world. And so you're in a first world jurisdiction, amazing infrastructure. New Zealand had a bigger gold rush than California. I mean, there's a huge amount of gold in New Zealand, and Oceana Gold have had 2 operating mines there for the last few decades.
Let me talk about veins. There are veins of wealth throughout the Taipotini. There are veins of wealth throughout the South Island, and with this legislation, mining will be turbocharged. In another 20, 30 years, people will look back to this bill as the day that New Zealand moved from cancel economics to can-do economics. The echo chamber for my speech is trans-Tasman, it's global. I am already getting messages from North America, from Singapore, from Australia. At long last, New Zealand is open again for business.
From what I've been reading, you've assembled quite a large land package with some historic workings on the property. Can you tell us how that process went and how you got from starting out to where you guys are now?
Yeah, we launched Rua Gold and listed it in March this year, and it was a really successful listing. We launched it through an RTO with $7.5 million in the bank, and we quickly proved the concept that there is gold left in our South Island property in Reefton. The South Island project is there on the west coast region of New Zealand. This is a long historic area of mining. There's a huge amount of coal mines and gold historic mines there. We know it better than anyone else has ever known it in the whole history of Reefton. We've done so much surface work, and we've inherited 5 years of Siren Gold's work. We're talking about an area that hasn't seen significant exploration since the 1950s. And now think about how far technology's come in the last 75 years. And that's where VRIFY AI comes into the story, because we're applying the latest technology to firstly find the most prospective areas of Reefton.
So at VRIFY, we work with mineral exploration mining companies and the massive data sets they have to apply what we think the world's most cutting edge AI algorithms to it to identify patterns for mineralization that they might not otherwise see.
So I can't just punch some drill results into ChatGPT and get the same thing?
You can try. To be honest, someday you might be able to. I think we're a long ways away from that, though. There is so much opportunity within data that companies aren't using today. And so much of that isn't from just throwing the data at it and running your algorithms on it. It's actually preparing the data and organizing it and formatting it in a way that then you can train things on it as well. The problem is if you don't know geophysics or you don't know geology or geochemistry, you don't know how to organize the data, and there's no way for you to get to the benefit of the second step in that.
How does that help a company like Rua to expedite their exploration and maximize their efficiency and accuracy?
So if we look at companies like Rua, where you've got a ton of historic data and you have made an acquisition where you have a whole bunch more historic data, it's a massive exercise and undertaking to go through that and identify every single opportunity that could or couldn't have happened over the last, say, 50 years and through the collection of that data. We take all of that, we synthesize it, and then we apply a series of algorithms to it to just identify any correlations between the exploration data and the known positive learning points, which in Rua's case would be assays above a certain gold threshold. And we do that again and again and again. We do a series of simulations. We delete a bunch of data and then predict what's there and then reinsert the data to see if we were right. And we do that time and time again to build up a probability. And then ultimately what we end up with is areas and targets that are away from learning points. So in areas that haven't been drilled. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is use machine learning, use AI to identify patterns that you might not otherwise see, and at the same time present it in a way that anybody can digest. And if you think of companies like Rua, can then go out and say, look, you don't have to understand this massive data set that we've acquired, and I don't need to explain to you the last 50 years of work that's been done on this project. I truly believe that AI done right is going to unlock our industry to an entire new type of investor. And we're starting to see that with certain sort of exploration AI companies out there. And thinking of the companies like Rua and the companies that want to lead the charge on this, when it's done right, and I do believe we need some true AI discoveries to really get the rest of the world believing that all of this is actually going to work, which we're confident is going to come. When that happens, you're going to see the floodgates open to a new type of investor that historically has just been too confused by our space.
We've wrapped up the whole district, and so we've got access to the entire region now. The second piece of it is that these mines stopped in the 50s because of two key reasons. They got to a depth of at most 700 meters, and then they collapsed because in those days they didn't have the ground support technology to really mine at those depths. And the other reason is they could have hit the groundwater table and there was no dewatering technology. So we've got an area that has come a long way in the 75 years in the mining space and the technology space to continue mining these at depth. And no one's even taken the action to go to the levels, except our neighbor, Federation Mining. They've got a small land package, they've got a historic mine, and they went underneath it. And currently, they've got 700,000 ounces at 23 grams a ton, and they've got 7 hectares. We've got 125 hectares. We've got 7 historic mines. And so the potential is huge. And that's what we're really excited about. And that's what we want you guys to come down and see.
Tell us about the team you have around you and how you guys are going to take this across the line.
That's a key for anyone investing in mining, especially junior mining, is back the jockey. We've got a team that has done this before. We've got between us over 150 years of experience, $2 billion of capital raised under this management team, and 8 mines built. There's not many exploration companies out there that can say our management team have actually put mines into production. We've got the depth to really unlock the value that we see in this New Zealand assets that we've got, and that's what we plan to do.
What's going to be happening into 2025? Because we'd love to come down and visit and learn more about the team and get a boots on the ground view of everything you're doing.
There's going to be drills turning. We're actually having our first analyst tour because we're actually picking up a lot of interest, and it's coming both from North America and Australia. Being the proximity to Australia, there's a natural gravitas for investors there. And so we get to capitalize on both markets, and we're getting a lot of interest. So that's happening right out in January next year.
Who can I talk to in the meantime to learn a little bit more about your geology and the prospects for discovery that you have?
I mean, it depends on your phone plan here, John, but if you want to call local, you've got the option of some really well-known local geos in Toronto that follow us and are very interested. We've got Eric Sprott behind us, and he's an early investor because he loves an orogenic style system. That's what Goldcorp built on West Red Lake. That's where Newfound Gold has created all its value. Quinton Henning out of Crescat, he's very familiar with the geology, loves it. But the real expert in all of this is Simon Henderson, our COO. He's got over 40 years experience, most of which is in New Zealand. He lives and breathes New Zealand. He's a Kiwi. He's lived there all his life. And he's got all the stakeholder contacts. He's got all the local contacts. And he'll give you the full geology rundown of New Zealand.
Simon, I wonder if you could dig into the geology of the region and how this is related to these major geological structures where these major gold finds are found.
Reefton province is a classic orogenic greywacke argillites sequence, and the free gold, gold arsenic, and gold stibnite mineralisation mirrors the Australian examples of Fosterville in the Lachlan Fold Belt. And importantly, it is a slice of the Lachlan Fold Belt separated by plate tectonics. When Rua or Reefton Gold initially got involved in this area was specifically that it had the hallmarks of the Fosterville type deposits. There'd been significant historical mining, 100 years of mining, but there were also some contemporary exploration. So it wasn't an unknown belt, and you have to ask yourself, what can you do that a lot of very competent contemporary geologists haven't done already? Their whole focus was on almost a single structure running up through the area that historically hosted the old deposits. Their particular drive was to add ounces to their mill, and they were like scratching around the edges of historic mines and saying, where's the next major deposit? Our focus is, where's the next big one? What's the chances that there's actually several more large deposits here, and we're looking at a 10 or 20 million ounce potential gold province? And so that's been our focus, is to look a little outside of the box.
What's your theory or your thesis on discovery, and where do you think you might find the next Fosterville mine?
Structure is everything, all right? So if the historical mines were established along specific structures, is there a signature to where along those structures that there are significant gold developed? And secondly, are there other structures?
And do you believe that you have identified any of those structures at this point?
In examining these sort of new possibilities, it all comes down to data. And have you got a spread of data significantly through the whole district that allows you to examine all these features? And luckily, the government had flown magnetics and radiometrics in the 2015 period, pretty much post-dating all of the contemporary exploration.
Simon, this all sounds really exciting, and you and the team are using all the 21st century tools combined with all the historical data to really pinpoint on your exploration. I'd love to come down there and visit you and the team, learn more about your operation and meet the real people behind the scenes.
Well, you should come down in the summer, all right? You guys are freezing your ass off in Canada. Late January, you should be here. It's prime summertime. We will have 3 rigs drilling, and it's a pretty exciting place to be. Like, where we are is spectacular scenery as well as spectacular gold deposits. So, but it's also quite tough physically. So bring your coats and a pair of boots. It's not a trivial place, but the weather will be a lot warmer than Canada at this time of year. So you're welcome. Do come.
Amazing. Yeah. Getting out of Canada in late January sounds just about perfect to me. So we'll see you there. Rob, before we go, what would be your number one message that you'd like to give to our viewers on Rua Gold before we really give them the deep dive into your operation?
So when you've got a team with this amount of knowledge in the gold mining space, we're not here for the sake of being here. We're not here for our lifestyles. We've got a focused team that have done it multiple times before across Africa, across South America, North America, Australia. And we're here solely focused on New Zealand because we think it's the best jurisdiction and it has been overlooked completely for the last number of decades.
Thanks so much for taking the time to walk me through that. Really look forward to coming down and meeting you and all the team. Obviously checking out New Zealand, which has been a bucket list for me. And getting out of Canada in January is always a bonus.
Yeah, it's not going to be a hardship posting, that's for sure.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Take care.
Thanks, John.
Well, I've heard all I need to hear to pack the bags, dust off the old passport, and leave this Canadian winter behind to head to New Zealand. Stay tuned in early February for our greatest adventure yet, as we're going to head down to New Zealand, meet with the team on the ground, the real people making the real discovery, and find out if Rua Gold might just be onto the next Fosterville.